We're here today with the Ohio State University's Agricultural Safety and Health Program. I'm Dee Jepson, and what we're standing on is our comprehensive agricultural rescue trailer. It's called the Grain Cart, and it can come to your community.
And I'm Lisa Pfeiffer. This unit was designed to educate both community farmers and rural firefighters in the dangers of working with grain handling. So firefighters train to rescue someone in the case of engulfment. If you'll notice, the trailer is made so that it can travel around the state by having a smaller size wagon and bin and a specially made grain leg. We'll take you on a tour here in a minute.
The Grain Cart is a partnership between The Ohio State University and the Ohio Fire Academy. The cart serves two audience groups, with the first being the agricultural community. A team of educators from OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Program will conduct training programs for formal and informal venues, educating the farm community, school groups, and agricultural businesses about injury prevention concepts. We address how to prevent being a victim in a grain engulfment, a victim in an equipment tanglement. We can have detailed talks about electrical safety, confined space hazards, and what to do while waiting for emergency vehicles to arrive on the scene. This comprehensive unit offers a lot to our rural communities. Many audiences can benefit from the cart, whether it's an educational awareness program or a true technical training program. The cart builds camaraderie within the community and allows others to see the capacity of a fire department in the event that they were to be called to a farm rescue. If these units are missing resources or have gaps in the training programs, the cart will recognize that very quickly too. And it'll help the community respond and get the types of technical training or equipment needed to have on hand.
So what you'll see in front of you here is some of the equipment that the firefighters use to help rescue when they're in a grain engulfment situation. So one of the reasons that we have to actually use equipment instead of pulling somebody out by a rope is because the pressures on the body when grain is surrounding a person once they're engulfed are so extensive. So if you take a look at this poster, you'll see that when somebody's buried waist deep, it takes 325 pounds of force to pull them out if they're about an average sized human being. In this next poster, there's a graphic of just what might have to happen if the person were completely under the grain to get them out and you can't locate them. You have to cut the sides of the bin. When you do that, it's important that you do it opposite of one another. So every time there's a cut, there has to be two. So you do it in twos. Then we'll take a look at the equipment that firefighters use. This is called a grain tube, and it is built in panels. The reason it's done in panels is so that firefighters can transport it up the ladder of the grain bin to get it inside. They come in 5-panel units. Some of them that are lighter that will fit in a backpack come in 10-panel units, but they then are pinned together once they're knifed down in the grain to build a circumference around the victim so that you're not having to move as much grain to set them free. And on this side, you'll see what we call a portable auger. What they do then, once they have the grain tube built around a victim, is they actually put this in, and they can drive it with a drill from the top, and it has a protection on the bottom so that you can't pull any of the limbs or appendages in. But this will move grain out rapidly from that interior environment and allow them to get to the victim. When we're working in and around stored grain and moving it on the farm, we like to talk about proper PPE, personal protective equipment. You want to make sure that you have hearing protection, that you're wearing a N95 mask if you're in a dusty environment to protect your lungs, that you have appropriate footwear on, and no loose, tattered coveralls so that you aren't pulling anything into an auger that will complicate things for you, and just making sure that you don't have any loose strings for hoodies or making sure your hair is tied back. All of those things can contribute to accidents on the farm. So we want to keep everybody safe, so we make sure we cover all of these pieces when we're talking about staying safe when you're doing grain handling activities.
The second audience group are for first responders. The Grain Cart is an excellent technical training tool where Ohio Fire Academy instructors will come into your community and work with local fire departments and EMTs to take the training and increase their capacity to respond to rural emergencies. The cart provides hands-on experience with bin entry, extrication, auger entanglement, and bin cutting.
One of the things we highly recommend for farmers is that you purchase a 5-point harness system. Never go in a bin without a harness on. You can buy them at a local hardware store, a big box store. They have them for roofers, or you can get them from climbing and technical equipment places. You want to attach to the back, and you want to hook to a lifeline before you ever enter the bin. Bins do not come from the manufacturer with a lifeline system installed. It is an aftermarket product that you will have to purchase. They are not structured such that you can have a tie-off point that is strong enough. So once you have that additional tie-off point put in, you can have a knot pulling system set up so that you can pass your lifeline out to the center of the bin for an anchor point and back to you to connect to your harness system, allowing you to connect to a lifeline system before you ever break the plane and enter the bin. That will keep you the most safe.
Grain facilities have a lot of electrical hazards with them. We took that into consideration when we built the grain cart. It comes with a generator, propane powered, which supplies all the electrical components that we actually need to provide the power to our unit. We tried to simulate what you would see in a modern day grain facility with a main control electrical box, complete with breakers and interlocks, and even our main control box. As we recommend, never enter a bin while all the equipment is running. You want to make sure you shut off the power to be sure. And then go ahead and put your lock in there. And what this does, this makes sure that no one comes by and inadvertently starts the equipment while you might be inside. If there's more than one of you working at the facility, we recommend the multiple lockout tagout kits where each person has their own lock for safety. And they put that lock on there, take the key with them, and that way all workers are protected at the grain bin. So working around grain bins, you're always working at elevated levels, and what we would recommend is putting stairs on a new install grain bin or even a retrofit. If you can install those, saves your legs, saves the knees, keeps your balance as you're climbing up the stairs. If you do have a ladder with the platforms, make sure you're always wearing a harness as you climb up that system, or some of the ladder harnesses that will glide with you as you go up and down the railing. So when we were building this grain cart, we had to make sure it was as realistic for those firemen as possible. And so during the training piece, they actually used this back ladder to mount the small bin. And as you can see on the top, one of our additions to the project was adding a roof. Because what we found was the firemen were just going up, throwing their harnesses in, and doing the rescue. And we said, wait a minute, you have to bring everything that you brought with you through that tiny port in the top of the bin. And so that was another segment that we added to the grain cart after 1 year of using it in the communities, and saw the cheating happening, so to speak, on those rescues. And so now the firemen will actually be able to pull up behind this bin and access it either using their own ladders or the ones that are installed on the grain cart.
The cart has been designed for road travel. Both the catwalk observation deck and the 13-foot grain leg fold down while in transport mode.
So thank you for taking the tour with us today. We look forward to seeing you in your own community.
If you'd like to schedule the grain cart to come to you, please visit agsafety.osu.edu, as you'll see on our sign at the front of the trailer. Thank you.